Hello everyone, this is a detailed video about the Tri Dosha. This video is created by strictly following the prescribed syllabus for first curriculum BAMS batch Shareera subject. Let's dig into the topic. Ayurveda runs on the concept of Tri Dosh. The word Tri Dosh means three dosh. What are the three dosh? They are Vat, Pitta and Kapha. Before that, or before diving into the concept of three dosh, we need to understand what is dosh. So, according to the verse which was given by Arunadatta in his commentary on Ashtanga Hridaya Sutrasthan, he has said that Dushyanti iti dosha. It is the one or the factor that vitiates. Means dushya. It is or it results in the pollution, not pollution, or it results in vitiation of any system, or the factors which causes the vitiation or changes or hampers the natural equilibrium state of the body is known as dosh. Now, they are three in number. They are Vat, Pitta and Kapha. Since they are three in number, so they are known as Tri Dosh. Now, let's dig into this even more elaborately. Firstly, we have the Vat Dosh. Now, what is Vat Dosh? According to the verses, Vat means Tatra Va Gati Gandhanayo iti dhatu. What does that means? It means Vat is the factor that is responsible, or it is the one which initiates, which ensures, which controls. But this should not be misunderstood with the nervous system or with the gas or with something that is visible to the eye. Vat is the most powerful among the three dosh and is simply responsible for initiating an action or enthusiasm and such. Second, we have Pitta. Pitta means top shantape, means which causes a rise or increase in temperature or oxidation or color change and so on. Then we have Kapha. Kapha means kena jalena falati iti kapha, means the one which increases on coming in contact with water is termed as kapha. Now, the students of BMS has to get a very clear and a deep rooted concept of this three dosh, or else it will become very difficult for the diagnostic, definitely diagnosing the patient and even understanding the Ayurvedic text as well. We all come from a background where we study physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, computer science, where we cannot get the reference of any of these three dosh. So this becomes a very important and a crucial subject for understanding. Now, what is exactly Vat? Vat is something that carries, that initiates, that carries something from one place to another, creates enthusiasm, or it is the mobile factor in any reaction or anything. Now, this Vat dosh is not only limited to the body. Even the Vat dosh is applicable to any object. Even the movement of the planets around the sun is initiated due to Vat dosh as well. Thus, any action, any movable action is principally done by Vat. When we will be studying the three dosh in more detail, as this is an introductory video, so I am not going into the detailed individual qualities of Vat. We will be studying those later on, as well as Pitta and Kapha. And what is Pitta? As I mentioned, that it is the one which causes rise in temperature, oxidation, color changes or reaction. Many of you might think that Pitta is responsible for digestion. I mean, yes, definitely it is responsible for digestion, but however, one should not properly or always think that Pitta is only related to the digestive system. Pitta is the one which causes transformation or change from one state to another. Or it can be defined as the energy source as well. So, Pitta can be defined as a transformating factor, and when we will be studying the qualities of Pitta, we will even see that Pitta is not only related to the digestive system, it is related to the vision and the entire metabolic reactions of our body. And as like Vata, Pitta is also located or can be correlated or is present in the entire multiverse. Next, what is Kapha? As I have mentioned, that the one which increases on coming in contact with water, or Kapha is the one which is the static factor or which causes an increase in the homologous condition. For example, if in a patient who has excessive fat in his body, or who has even a little bit of fat in his body, when he consumes more and more amount of fat or diet, which food which are rich in fat, this the food which are rich in fat are already homologous to the fat present in the body, and as a result of which they are acting similar way and hence result in accumulation. However, one should not understand like this that Kapha means only fat. No, Kapha means the one which causes or brings stability as well as strength to the body. It also result in compactness or firmness, and one thing that has to be noted that Kapha is static and immobile. Among all the three of them, Vata is the most mobile dosh. Pitta has a little bit of mobility due to its fluid in nature, and Kapha has almost nil or no mobility at all. Another important verse, according to the verse given in Ashtanga Hridaya Sutrastan, they say that Pittam Pangu, Kafang Pangu, Pangava Maladhatava, Vayuna Yatra Niyante Tatra Varshanti Medhavata. Now, what does that verse mean? This verse actually compares the strength of the Tri Dosha. Here, the verse says that in the first line, Pittam Pangu, Kafang Pangu means both Pit and Kaf are Pangu, which means they are static or cannot move on their own. Vayuna yatra niyantre tatra varshanti medhavata. It means that Vayu is the one that carries the Pit and Kaf from one place to another, and that is why, due to its carrying nature or its mobile nature or its property or characteristic feature to move all over the body, the Vayu becomes the most important factor and is the strongest of all of them. That is why even the Vyadhi or the diseases which are caused by Vayu are considered to be more powerful. But it does not mean that Pit and Kafaj Vyadhi are less powerful. All the Vyadhis are powerful when neglected, definitely. But however, if a person has problem or has suffering from a Vyadhi which has influence on both Vat, Pit and Kapha, then first one should go for the treatment of Vat, as it is more mobile and may cause it further aggravation. Now this concept not only applies into the body, but it also applies into the even pharmacokinetics of the drug, pharmacodynamics, and even in the entire multiverse as well. Okay, now let's come into the relation between Ritu, Dosh and Ras. Ritu, which means seasons. Now, we all know that the seasons as mentioned in Ayurveda, there are mainly 6 seasons. That is Shishir, Vasant, Grishma, Varsa, Sharad and Hemant. Now, what are they actually? Shishir means late winter. It is the late winter period. Vasant. Vasant means the spring season. Grishma means summer season. Varsa means rainy season. Sharad means autumn season. And Hemanta means early winter. Actually, in Ayurveda, the winter is classified into late and early winter, because definitely there are some characteristic difference which we will be studying in an elaborate way in chapter Ritucharya. Now, in Ayurveda, there are 6 ras mentioned. Now, what is ras? Ras actually has different meaning in context to different opinion or perspective. For this video purpose or this introductory purpose, we will consider ras means taste. Ayurveda or the Acharyas have mentioned principally 6 ras. They are Madhur, Amla, Lavan, Katu, Tikta, Kashai. Now, what are they? Madhur means sweet. Lavan means the one which are salty. Amla means sour. Katu means pungent. Kashai means astringent. And Tikta means bitter. However, there is a characteristic feature or there is a relation between this ras and ritu, or there is seen in the nature that this ras gets predominancy in respective ritu or in particular ritu. That is, in Shishir ritu, the Tikta ras gets predominant. In Vasanta Ritu, the Kashai ras gets predominancy. In Grishma, Katu. In Varsha, Amla. In Sharat, Lavan. And in Hemanta, Madhu. The main mechanism or reason for it will be discussed in the chapter Ritucharya. This now has to be remembered in a very careful manner, as is it very important. Now, if we see into the relation between the dosh and ritu. First, we have tried or known the relation between ritu and ras, and now we will know the relation between ritu and dosh. As we know that there are 3 dosh: vat, pitta and kapha. Thus, you can see that I have written Chay, Prakop and Prasam. What are they? For this introductory purpose, just try to understand or try to think like that. Chay means the one where there is increase in something. Prakop means the one where there is aggravation of something. And Prasaman is the one where it comes to its original state or reverts back to its natural state. So, Vat dosh undergoes this 3 stage in obviously in the ritu. In the 3 ritus, which is Vat undergoes Chay in Grishma ritu, Prakop in Varsha ritu, Prasam in Sharad ritu. Prasad. Pit undergoes Chay in Varsha, Prakop in Sharad, Prasad in Hemanta. Kaf undergoes Chay in Shishir, Prakop in Vasant, and Prasad means Grishma. Now, what does it actually mean? It actually means that Vat undergoes or aggravates most in Varsha Ritu, Pit aggravates more in Sharad Ritu, Kaf aggravates more in Vasanta Ritu, and Vat reverts back to its original state in Sharad Ritu. So does Pit in Hemanta and Kaf in Grishma. Actually, these 3 means Kriya Kal which we will also make a detailed video on it later on. Now, next we have gun. The gun, its nirukti is gun amantrane. What are gun? Actually, gun can be understood as qualities. Now, in point of dravya gun, the gun can be divided into adhyatmik or adhibautik gun. Adhyatmik, the spiritual, which includes the ichha, dvesha, shuk, dukh, etc. And adhyatmik gun, which has again subdivided into samanya and vishesh gun, which we will be studying later on. But as of now, the gun, we will try to understand it from the verse as given in Ashtanga Hridaya Sutrasthan. In the verse, there are 20 gunas or gun mentioned. They are Guru Manda Hima Snigdha Slekshna Sandra Mridu Sthira Gunaha Sukshma Vishadu Vimshati Savi Viparya. What does this mean? In the verse, if you see, there are only 10 gunas, that is Guru, Manda, Hima, Snigdha, Slekshna, Sandra, Mridu, Sthira, Sukshma, Vishada. Vimshati means 10. Savi Viparya. All these 10 qualities along with their opposite qualities means totaling to a number of 20 are the gun. This entire set of 20 gunas are also known as Gurvadi gunas. Now their opposite one are Guru, Laghu, Manda, Tikshna, Hima, Ushna, Snigdha, Ruksha, Slekshna, Khara, Sandra, Drava, Mridu, Kathin, Sthira, Chala, Sukshma, Sthula, Vishada, Pichila. What are these? What does their individuality mean? Guru means heavy or which is heavy in nature. Laghu means the one which is light. Manda means which is dull, and Tikshna means which is sharp or quick acting. Him means the one which is cold. Ushna means the one which is hot. Snigdha means the one which is unctuous. Ruksha means the one which is dry or rough or dry, most importantly. Slekshma means the one which is slippery or which has smooth in appearance. I apologize, it is not actually slippery, it is actually smooth. The Slekshna means the one which has smooth or smoothing effect. Khara means the one which is rough or coarse. Sandra means the one which is solid or in a subtle state or in a static state, and Drava is the one which has fluidity. Mridu means soft. Kathin means hard. Sthira means stable. Chala means mobile. Sukshma means subtle or very little amount, and Sthula means bulky. Vishad means spotless or clear, and Pichilla means which is slimy. Thus, these are the 20 basic qualities that we come across where we study different diseases, not only diseases, also the drugs and so on. Everything has a clinical value. For example, if we say about Guru and Laghu, as I have mentioned, Guru means the one which is heavy and Laghu means the one which is light. So if we try to correlate it clinically, we can understand it like that. If a person who is obese, it means he is heavy, so he has Guru Guna. Now, if we try to give him the food which itself is Guru, or the food articles which are heavy in nature, what we will be doing, we will be adding more Gurutva to his body. As a result of it, Guru plus Guru will result in more Guru, thus resulting in more obesity. So what shall we do in this scenario? Instead of giving him Guru diet, we will be giving him Laghu, or the one which are light in nature. So what we'll do, it will contraindicate to that of the guru and therefore will result in a lean body eventually. In this way, we can try to understand it in a clinical manner, which we will be studying it in further detail in the upcoming videos. Next, we have biological rhythm of Tri Dosha. The biological rhythm, as we have studied in the class 12th also, or we know in general, that the pineal gland is known as the biological clock. When we follow a strict timetable, actually what happens, our body gets adapted to it when we practice it for a long time. As a result, the body undergoes the same physiological changes into that time. Similarly, the three dosh or the three doshas also have their own biological rhythm or the circadian circle. However, the biological rhythm of three dosh is a more elaborate and a detailed way. We can understand on the basis of its cycle over the day, night, meals, age. Let's understand what does it means. There are three dosh: kapha, pitta, vata. Now, on day, their biological rhythm. What does it say? That kapha has its predominancy in early part of the day or when the day is starting. It can be understood as the period from 6 to 10 a.m., the early morning time. Pitta has its dominancy in the mid part of the day. Thus, we can understand or we can think that in the time period between 10 to 2 p.m., 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., there is dominancy of Pitta, or we can say in the afternoon. And Vata has its predominancy in the later phase of the day. That is, we can say that from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. or particularly in the evening phase. This is the biological rhythm of Tri Dosha over the day. If we talk on the night, similarly, kapha has its predominancy on early phase of the night or first part of the night. That is, we can understand or we can say like 6 to 10 p.m. Pitta has its dominancy in mid phase of the night, that is from 10 to 2 p.m. And Vata has its predominancy on later part of the night, that is from 2 to 6 p.m. roughly. Worth mentioning that the time that I have mentioned, this 2 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 2, all these are actually to understand in a basic or introductory concept. This should not be misunderstood that in up to till 10 a.m. there will be dominancy of kapha, and then from 10:001 there will be domination of pitta. It's not like that. We will have to use the Anuman Praman, which is one among the 4 Pramanas. Definitely we will study in the upcoming videos as well. One should not think like that or just think that from 6 to 10 a.m. there is dominance of kapha. No, one should think that in the anything in its early aspects has predominancy of kapha. In the mid, it has predominancy of pitta, and in vata, the predominancy of vata is seen in the later or in the final stage. The rhythm of the three dosh in the meals are similarly, like I've said, kapha in the first part or beginning of digestion, pitta in the mid phase of digestion or during the digestion phase, and vata in the later phase of digestion. This is very interesting to understand because we will be studying this in detail in this year. That is, what we can understand that in the first part, or why in the first part there is kapha predominance. As we know, when we ingest a food article, it enters into the buccal cavity. In there, on eating the food, there is definitely secretion of from various glands such as saliva and much more from their respective glands. Now, this secretion causes increase in something in the mouth, and these are fluid secretion which are watery in nature. So this is one of the characteristic property of cough, or this is like cough is getting predominancy, that is why it is causing release of the digestive juice, or even the not digestive juices, the salivary juices or the salivary secretions. In the pith, or in the mid phase of the digestion, the pith gets predominancy. Why? Because when the food reaches the stomach, there is the secretion of digestive juices, especially the gastric juices and mucus and much more, pepsin, the renin, and so on. So in that time, pith gets dominated. And in the later phase, that is vat, as we know that when the after the food being digested, it has to be absorbed in the body, and this absorption and carrying it to different part of the body is done by vat, which I have mentioned is the characteristic feature, because it is the one which causes movement or mobility. That's why vat becomes prominent in the later phase of digestion. We will be understanding this concept more elaborately while studying Ahar Pak. Here we have this Kaf, Pith and Vat. We have three individual verses which we'll be explaining in a very detailed manner. Then the biological rhythm over the age. It is also very important to understand. As expected, cough has its predominancy during childhood or early age, pith has its predominancy during mid age, and vat has its predominancy during later age. We can understand it like the fact in during the childhood or in the very small stage, when, for example, in a kid, there is the increase of the body elements or tissue, or the tissue gets the cells differentiate more and more, both in quantity and in quality, to to cause overall growth of the body. And this growth, this growing up of the body is like the feature of cough. And that is why, since the cough is has having its dominancy, it results in the growth of the body, and it gives strength as well. That is why in pitta there are in the mid age period, there is the various metabolic transformation or changes in the body. There is definitely the closing of the epiphyseal line and much more. Means there are various kind of transformation and hormonal changes. So this is done nothing except by the pitta. And in the vat stage or in the old stage, we can see that there is the senile decay or the degeneration of the tissues in the body, as a result of which a person ages. Some of its organs or parts of his or her body even gets degenerated, and this degeneration procedure is done by vat, because vat is mobile in nature, and it can carry the elements from the body to from one part to another, thereby resulting in its destruction. And not only it causes destruction due to its mobile nature. Actually, whenever vat increases to a greater or to a aggravated state, it causes destruction. That is why vat remains predominant in the old stage. We can understand this concept like in this manner. And that is for that reason, in the old age we can see vata vyadhi. For example, sciatica, which is known as girdhasi, there is cracking of the foot, cracking of the skin, and much more. In the mid age, we see the diseases related to pitta. For example, there is the problem of hyperacidity, jaundice, etc. And in the childhood disease, we can see various cough disorders related to growth. For example, if we think it in modern, we can think like that kwashiorkor and marasmus, which is a nutritive deficiency or defect in the children that affects its overall growth and development. Next, we have role of dosh in formation of prakriti. The verse says that janma marana anta Janma marana antara labhini avikariणी dosha sthitihi prakritihi. What does it says? That during the time of conception, that is the fertilization of Shukra, that is sperm, and Artha ovum, the dosh which at that time remains dominant decides the prakriti of an individual. Means, as we know that during the fertilization process, the Shukra or the sperm and the Artha or the ovum comes together and fuse to form the fertilized product, that is a zygote. So what happens is that, as we have mentioned about the biological rhythm of the three dosh, so during the time of conception, the certain dosh will be having its predominancy in the individual, and whatever we have discussed is actually the prakritik avastha or the prakritik rhythm of the doshas. If the individual can be the male or the female, if suffered from disease or has its prakriti, the dosh dominancy at that time will be different in both the male and female. As a result of it, during when the there means when the fertilization is occurring, the sperm will have a dosh dominant and the ovum will have another dosh dominant. So the dosh which remains dominant, or combinedly the dosh which remains dominant, will decide the prakriti of the zygote or the fetus or the individual. There are actually 7 types of prakriti based on the doshic involvement. It is Vataj prakriti, Pittach Kafaj, Vataj Pittach, Pittach Kafaj, Kafaj Vataj, and Vataj Pittach Kafaj. Now, what that exactly it means? Let's take an example. Let's say during the time of fertilization, the Shukra was dominant in Vat and the Artav was dominant in Vat as well. So, as both of them are dominant in Vat, as a result, their product will be also be dominant in Vat. Hence, it will have Vataj Prakriti. In Vataj Pittaj, let's say the Shukra was dominant in Vat and the Artha was dominant in Pitta. So, consequently, they resulted in Vataj Pittaj Prakriti. Similarly, the Prakriti are being decided. Next, we have Prakriti and Vikriti dosha. Prakriti means the normal physiological state and Vikriti means the abnormal or the pathological state. What does that mean? The dosha, when remain confined to its own site and thereby performing its normal function and without any abnormality, is called Prakriti dosha. If we look into the body of an individual, my drawing isn't that perfect, so don't focus on that. Let's say this is a human. We can, in Ayurveda, we actually divide this human on the basis of the location of the dosh into 3. This is the umbilicus, the region below the umbilicus, the region in the udara or in the uru, and the region between the chest and the umbilicus, the region below the umbilicus, and the region above the chest region. The region in this upper region or the region above the chest is dominancy in Kapha. The region between the chest and over the umbilicus is rich in Pitta or is the site of Pitta, and Vat has its presence in the lower part of the body under the umbilicus. So what actually does it means that Kapha will be present in this phase in the upper part above the clavicle, spatial, not above the clavicle, and above the chest region. Pitta will be present in the chest to the above the umbilicus of the body, and Vat will be present below the umbilicus to the rest part or in the lower part of the body. Now, this presence of the Vata in the lower part of the body, the Pitta in the middle, and Kapha in the upper part of the body is in its normal condition. But however, in some pathological condition due to injury or Vikrita Ahara or Vihara, or might be any other reason, if somehow the Vata occupies the position of Pitta or occupies the position of Kapha. Similarly, if Pitta leaves its own site and occupies the site of other, that is Kapha and Vata, and Kapha occupies the sites of Pitta or Vata, that is, if the dosha does not remain confined to its original state, it will result in Vikriti dosha. Thus, the dosha which leaves its site and moves to its site which is not normal or to its native to its presence, it will result into the disease, and this dosha in that time will be known as Vikriti dosha. Example, the site of Vata is generally the portion below the umbilicus, mainly bladder, rectum, waist, thighs, long bones and colon. Why I have underlined the colon? Because colon is the specific and the main site of Vata. Pitta and Kapha also have their specific site. We will be studying all of them in the upcoming detailed video of the Tri Dosha. So if this Vata dosh instead moves to the other sides such as chest, head, etc., then it causes Vikriti and hence termed as Vikriti dosh. The Vikriti dosha mainly occurs due to the vitiating factors that can be ahar, vihar or congenital or injury. Such a dosh is sure to cause a disease. Definitely, because Vata, which performs the actions, initiates something or results in movement, if it moves into somewhere, for example in the site of Kapha where it provides strength or stability, obviously they are opposite in nature, and hence due to their contraindicatory in property, it will result into the disease of the individual. Thus, we have completed a video or the topic of the general description of the Tri Dosha. If there is any query, please mention it down below in the comment, and thank you.